Some people collect stamps, some like sailing or cycling, and some prefer spelunking. That's descending deep beneath the surface of the earth to explore the hidden crevices of caves. An unusual pastime? Yes. A useless one? Not at all. In Alberta, cavers are helping scientists with some important research. The CBC's Dave Gilson reports.
A perfect fall day in Alberta's Rocky Mountains, which means the perfect invitation to hike the Bow Valley. But this isn't a typical hiking party. Even with the postcard views, the group is much more interested in the sites below the trail. They're members of Alberta's caving community.
We're just changing this flat spot ahead.
Charles Young runs a guiding company. He's been going underground for 40 years into caverns all over the world.
Find a few footholds here. You can use the rope if you want.
But today, Young and the others are shining their headlamps closer to home on Rat's Nest Cave. It's one of hundreds of caves in Alberta, carved out by powerful surges of glacial runoff. The glaciers have retreated for now, creating a new frontier for local cavers who continue to map new discoveries deep underground.
Here in caves, just right on our doorstep, we can get to places that no one's ever gone before. So it is very exciting. And the other thing is that you don't know what they're going to do. I mean, you break through and you don't know what formations you're going to find, what deposits.
And the trick is just to work your body to get through it.
But lately, the cavers are doing more than mapping new caverns. They're helping scientists tap into a gold mine of information about global warming.
It's got glass plates in it, so don't drop it.
200 meters below the surface, the reason for today's trip down here, a chance to study water that's taken 2 months to seep down here from the forest floor above us. The water carries chemical clues from the outside world about the weather and the landscape. Mineral deposits on this glass plate will paint a picture of today's environment, but the real prize lies inside the rock. It's unlike anything on the surface. Flowstone, stalagmites, stalactites, and this. Cavers call it the bacon strip.
Awesome.
All of the formations contain the key: rainwater that's been trapped inside for thousands of years, creating environmental time capsules. Rat's Nest is part of a North American study that includes 6 caves stretching across the continent. The data collected ends up here. Researchers at McMaster University have been studying caves for 40 years. They think caverns that have never seen the light of day can tell us a lot about the weather above.
Little drops of water which are trapped inside of stalagmites, these are literally the samples of the water that was dripping over the stalagmite when it was growing thousands or hundreds of thousands of years ago. And so that's a marvelous trick that we can perform here of capturing a drop of ancient rainwater so that we can analyze it here in the lab.
They can tell when a drop of water was trapped inside the rock and the average temperature outside at the time. They're looking for snapshots of our climate since the last ice age to help them understand whether current warming trends are natural or man-made.
By telling when it's been, say, tundra versus grasslands versus a forest over the cave, that tells us a lot about what the past climate was like, because each of those vegetations have certain environmental conditions they need. They need a certain amount of water, they need a certain temperature.
Back in Rat's Nest Cave, it's dinner time for one of the permanent residents, a pack rat. As for the cavers...
How you doing, Matt? You all right?
With today's research complete, it's time to head back to the surface, but not before a detour to some ancient bones. And for them, yet another example of the scientific treasures down here.
The other thing is that we do find a lot of bones that are broken off like this, and we think these might have been opened up by mallets, by stone mallets, by the Aboriginal people. And in fact, in the bone pit, there is evidence of human activity dating back 3,000 years.
A time span that barely registers in a world millions of years old. A world with clues about the past that will stay buried at least until the next trip. Dave Gilson, CBC News, Rat's Nest Cave.